For a long time now, Strung Out have been on my list. You guys have been asking for the track Firecracker because you said I need to check out the playing of late bassist Jim Cherry. Let's get to it. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Low End University. Strung Out is yet another punk band I have not discovered, but in my punk rock discovery lately, I feel like we're making a lot of good headway. But we're getting down the list and Strung Out are next, and this track Firecracker is from the band's second album, Suburban Teenage Wasteland Blues. Quite a mouthful. Released in 1996, I'm reading this was released on Fat Records, and Strung Out were apparently one of the first bands on the label. Firecracker is the opening track on the record, which I'm reading late bassist Jim Cherry also has a writing credit for, so featuring some of his songwriting, I suppose. And I'm reading he tragically passed the young age of 30 from a congenital heart condition, which is terribly tragic, but we're going to celebrate him and his writing today, checking this track out. I'm excited. Let's get to it. Firecracker by Strung Out. Ooh. Majestic. That's some fast singing. Wow. Okay, I don't want to miss what happened just in the intro there. I like that it came right out of the gate with these kind of clashing lower frequency bass notes. And I talk about this in a lot of other videos where bass chords can be pretty bold the lower you get. But if you find a sweet spot on the neck where the notes are just low enough to kind of have some of that rub, just because of the low nature of their frequency, this is just physics, but just high enough to kind of still be able to discern the pitches from one another, you get this kind of really thick texture, kind of grand piano-like just in terms of the range. And I like that he came in with that and it really amplified the production. Like it just sounds so beefy, especially when the guitars came in with those power chords. I just want to talk about that real quick. You know, if you took a fifth interval, one of the easiest intervals where two notes play nice together, it's called a perfect fifth for a reason. If you played that way up here, it sounds very clean. But if you go down here and try it, even that clean interval is going to sound bad, just how low it is. Like you can't discern it, just sounds like a big mess. But I feel like he's here in kind of the C major territory, giving it just a good mix of both on the major thirds. Like it's just low enough where you can go, okay, I can hear two notes, but it kind of has some clash. Versus that same interval up here, it sounds more pretty. So I feel like he's experimenting with that concept here. Let's start it over and keep it going. Ooh, he's changing some notes subtly. Didn't hear that the first time. In C. Right at the C major scale. It's a weird chord. That's fast. That's fast vocals. That's a great guitar tone. Holy crud. Nice. They're cramming a lot of notes in a short amount of time in some of these phrases, and it's already at a faster tempo. But something I like is that the speed of that vocal, that kind of rapid-fire delivery, I feel like the phrasing and the rhythms of those riffs in the intro kind of get your ear used to that. It kind of has this just recurring rhythmic phrase, really specific kind of rhythmic pattern. And I like that it's just at that tempo, it just sounds kind of chaotic. But when those vocals come in on that first verse, you're already used to kind of feeling in that subdivided manner. And then those vocals come in. And it's just really clever way to kind of introduce that vocal delivery. And they're playing around with some interesting inverted chords there. You know, I kind of heard like a first inversion C going up, and then they go to the F, and back to the C. Then that sounds like they did like a B over or a G over B, B over G, if I'm saying that right. A minor. So they're kind of going up and down pretty linearly just in the C major scale. But cool thing I noticed there about the rhythms and the vocals kind of having that same character. Let's keep going. Really polished production. Like it.
I'll never bow your expectation, never have an ever will. I'm not a brother fun, a figurehead, a man of my own free will. My freedom slowly shredded as they take more than the fill. How much power is there enough for the man on Capitol Hill?
Good stuff. That guitar lead there, for a second I thought it was kind of mirroring those rhythms, but it's got this dun 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 dun, and it, I don't know, it plays really interestingly with that whole other rhythmic thing already established. Kind of proves for a chaotic sound. Then you add this faster tempo, and I don't know, this kind of sounds skate punkish to me. I'm really learning to like that sound. I've talked a lot about, I think the first real punk I heard was Less Than Jake off a PlayStation 1 game. I've talked to a lot of you about it in the comments. That was kind of my first impression of this faster punk kind of angsty sound. So this reminds me a bit of that. And it's always a feel-good thing. It's almost like you can't process it because it's going by so fast. It's a lot, just everything really up front. So I'm a fan. And I got to shout out that guitar tone. Just, it's really good. Like, it could be a good metal guitar tone, which is where I come from. So digging that. Keep going. Cool. That bass. Ooh, kind of a breakdown, halftime. So I have a feeling the bass is doing a little more than I can hear. Based on the intro, I don't know. But to come out of the gate with those kind of bass chords down here, and I'm not going to go all the way back to the beginning to kind of break that down any further. We're already getting there. But I heard him on my second bounce back to the intro, changing a little bit of the notes. You know, it was kind of like a, you know, I heard some subtle note movement in there, and I wonder if he's continuing that. The guitar is, as good as it sounds, it is loud. That polished production sometimes can make the bass get a little drowned out because everything is so high fidelity. But I hear the treble end of that bass kind of barking through. So I may never know what's underneath it, but I have a feeling he's keeping that kind of denser chordal style bass line going. And one thing I'm wondering if I read wrong. I read that a lot of you here say that Jim Cherry was a finger player. I don't know if he's using a pick just for this, so I might need to check out another one. Doesn't matter. It sounds really cool, but just something I noticed. And I'm really liking the lead guitar on this song. Not even in the solo-esque sections, but those kind of doubled octaves. It gives it a really regal, kind of epic sound. You know, octaves on guitars as a layer always make everything sound epic, but I kind of like where they're using it here. So let's go back to about here. We're halfway there. Let's keep going. This is rad. This halftime thing was cool. See, it has that epic feel. Oh, good. Yep, okay. Ooh. Yes, I could hear a bit more of that. Kind of a reprise back to the intro with bass, but it was isolated just enough where I can kind of confirm. I hear like a... That's got to be a pick, of course. I don't know. Sounds like it to me. I've been wrong before, but... You know, it would allow him to kind of do those double stops, changing positions. So that he's back to that dun 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 dun, that strummy kind of rhythm thing. But I heard that nice little. So you got this little melody on top. He's kind of probably playing it down here. And I don't know. Again, he's in that range where I can discern there's two notes, but it creates this really kind of almost clashy texture. I love when bass players do that. I want to hear that again. He did it on the F too. Dropping that bottom note down a half step, keeping the fifth the same, so it makes it from an F major to essentially a first inverted C major. And I don't know, I think those top notes are kind of mirroring some of those guitar melodies that happened earlier. Very cool. So spanky sounding. That's dense, man. Okay, that guitar part came in and kind of took what the bass was doing and blossomed it even bigger and kind of had, I wouldn't say a counterpoint, but it had a different kind of melodic thing going on after that bass part had been established. So you already have that bass part with these little. Then that guitar came in and added just something else, like a third layer. So you get this kind of jumbled melodic sort of interlude here almost at the end of the song. Very cool. It all fits. I think the bass was mirroring this exact guitar lead here, sort of. Or a variation on it. Rad. You know, this was a really wholesome song. And right as the song was wrapping up, I remembered that it was the opening track because I saw it on my notes here. That's a very regal, epic song to have right out of the gate. And I'm wondering how the rest of the album stands up to it. You know, I'm always thinking about what track am I going to put on Patreon since I do full album reactions over there. I'm always thinking, like, what album do I want to explore? And this has me intrigued being the opening track. Had a lot of cool stuff. And I like the chordal approach to the bass. I feel like it really beefed up the song and had a very dense feel. There was really not a lot of space. It was very all in, which might be the move for an opening track to really set up a dynamic album. And as this was playing, I was kind of thinking randomly about an email I got. Sometimes you guys email me. I might always respond quick, but I always read them. But the email was something to the effect of, I'll put it up on the screen. What have you learned doing all these punk rock tracks? And I think the biggest takeaway so far is that I like that punk has given bass a chance. You know, I grew up on classic rock. I've talked about it a lot. AC/DC, Boston. You know, all those songs start with guitar. It's the old funny cliche where you can take a classic rock album and skip track to track and every song starts with a guitar. I feel like punk is the opposite. They actually gave bass players a chance. The bass player wasn't an afterthought. And a lot of the songs I do on this channel, they might start with a really cool bass intro, and then the bass kind of works its way into the song and you don't hear it a ton. And that's okay. The bass can't be the lead figure all the time. But what I'm noticing is that when you hear a great bass intro, like Strung Out, the bass player just being an integral part of the composition is top of mind throughout the song, and it makes me really be tuned into it. I think to the average listener it does too. Punk rock really gave bass players a chance. Bass intros, the bass leads a lot of things, and you got these crazy drums that are always really easy to hear. I feel like punk is this collective. It kind of gave everyone in the band a chance. It wasn't just about guitar. It wasn't about the 80s classic rock. So that's kind of a thing I'm noticing too. And the more I listen, punk feels very written from the heart. I grew up on jazz, classical, progressive, metal. It's very from the mind. I feel like punk's really from the heart. So I thought I would throw that in there because the song kind of reminded me of that when I heard that bass intro. It's like, yeah, I couldn't hear the bass super well the rest of the song. I could hear it was there, but it was always top of mind that the bass player is probably doing something cooler because it was established in the intro. and I love that the punk scene gives bass players a chance. So that's my soapbox for today on what I've learned doing punk rock reactions, among many other things. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. Thanks for your patience waiting for Firecracker. Again, this has been on the list a while. Come find us on Patreon doing full album reactions. Descendants, Everything Sucks just went up today at the time of this video recording. Please like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for hanging in with me. I love you all. We will see you next time.